Lexicanter is a free desktop app designed by Saturnine to make it easier to create and organize constructed languages. To get started, head to lexicanter.com on macOS or Windows and install the latest version. When you first open the app, the Lexicon tab will be selected. Across the top of the window, the names of several other tabs appear. Let's first click on the Settings tab and view the preferences that we can set. First, we have the Appearance settings. The Theme drop-down allows you to choose from a variety of different pre-made themes. If you're familiar with CSS, you can also create your own theme and upload it here with the Load Custom Theme button. Next is the Autosave preference. When this is turned on, your file will be saved once every 5 minutes and when you exit the app. The appearance and save preferences are universal. The following advanced settings only apply to your current file. For demonstration, we're going to enable all of these. We will get into what exactly each of these preferences does a little later. Let's go back to the Lexicon tab. Underneath the tab selection, there is a panel with a text field containing the alphabet and some checkboxes. This is for the alphabet of your language. You can change this as you wish. You are able to alphabetize your language by any characters or combinations of characters. The Ignore Diacritics setting tells the app whether or not to pay attention to diacritics when alphabetizing, and the Case Sensitivity setting tells the app whether or not your alphabetization scheme is case sensitive. On the left side of the tab is the Word Editor panel. The first text box here is for the new word in our language. When we enter text here, we can see identical text is appearing below it. This is the pronunciation field, and we can configure it to automatically convert our romanization to phonetic notation. To edit it manually, we can click on it. For now, we will manually write the pronunciation of our word. The next text field is for the definition of the word. Above this text field is the label Sense 1, and below it is a button which says Add Sense. Sense here refers to a meaning of a word. If our word has multiple senses, we can add them and write their definitions like so. Beneath each sense is a text field labeled Tags. Tags can be used to organize our language, and later we will see how we can use tags to automatically create inflection tables for words. When we're done editing this word, we can hit the Add Word button to move it into the lexicon, which appears on the right. Let's add a few more words to populate the lexicon. Now that there are some more words here, let's check out the Phonology tab. Here, we have a simple word generator and a large text field labeled Pronunciations. Let's start there. In this field, we can define the pronunciation rules for our romanization. The rules we can write here are very similar to standard sound change notation format. To learn about writing pronunciation rules in Lexicanter in depth, please see the documentation page. For now, we'll write some simple pronunciation rules. Now, when we go back to the Lexicon tab, we can see that most of the words have had their pronunciations automatically changed. The words which did not change are the ones whose pronunciations we manually edited. The app considers manually edited pronunciations to be irregular, and therefore will not overwrite them. We'll now move to the Phrasebook tab. This tab is similar to the lexicon, but is designed to be better suited to documenting longer phrases and sentences in your languages. Just like in the Lexicon tab, we have an editor panel with a text field for the word, its pronunciation, its description, and its tags. Here, instead of senses, we have variants. We also have an extra required field, category. In the phrasebook, entries are grouped by the category you assign them to. We'll create a few phrase entries now to see how they look in the phrasebook. Next, we'll take a look at the Documentation tab. This tab has a single panel with a block-based text editor. The content of this tab will be created entirely by you, with headings, paragraphs, and tables which you can reorganize and create and delete as you see fit. You can document your language's grammar, its relationship to other languages, information about the people who speak the language, or simply use this space as a place to keep notes. This tab is meant for you to write about your language however you want to. So far, we've covered all of the basic features available out of the gate. Now, we will dive into the extra features made available to us by the advanced settings. Let's start with the Etymology tab. On the left, we can see a list of words from our lexicon. When we select one of these, it appears in the middle of the large panel on the left, and its lexical entry appears slightly below. We have the option now to link this word to related ancestor and descendant words. As we do so, we can see the app draw the etymology tree for this word. We can click on any of the linked words here to move to their trees and edit their ancestors and descendants. Let's look back at the Lexicon tab. Now that we have defined some etymology, we can see a simplified version displayed on the entries themselves. Back in the Etymology tab, we can also create manual entries, for instance, if there are loan words we would like to specify as being ancestors of words within this language. To learn more about that and other etymology features, check out the documentation page. Now let's take a look at the Inflection tab. This tab allows us to create groups of inflections and document them in detail. Each inflection group can be applied to lexicon entries with specific tags, which we can specify in the first field. We can also limit which words these inflections will be applied to by writing a regular expression filter in this second text field. Below, we have an editor similar to the Documentation tab. We can write whatever we want here, but unlike in the Docs tab, the tables here have a special function. Table cells which have sound change rules in them will be automatically filled by the app back in the Lexicon tab. To see this in action, let's create some simple verb conjugation and then see how the lexicon changes. On the Lexicon tab, we can now see that an inflections drop-down has been added to our entries with the verb tag. The content in the drop-down is identical to the inflection group we just defined, except each table cell that had a rule in it now has the word with that rule applied to it. This is a powerful way to set up automatic inflection for systems such as verb conjugation and noun declension. To use the final advanced feature, let's go back to the Settings tab. Underneath where we enabled the Use Lects setting, let's add another lect to our language and give it a name. While we're here, let's also rename the default General Lect. Now on the Lexicon tab, additional checkboxes allow us to specify which lects any given sense of a word should be included in. The case is similar in the Phrasebook tab, where we can now assign our phrases to specific lects the same way. On both this tab and the Lexicon tab, there is a new drop-down in the search bar which allows us to filter our searches by a specific lect. You may also notice that there is a new pronunciation field with the label of the lect we added. Let's go back to the Phonology tab and take another look at the pronunciations. Here we can see this drop-down allows us to define separate sets of pronunciation rules for each of our lects. These features together make it much easier to define and display how your language may vary, in both phonetics and semantics. The last interactive tab we have yet to cover is the File tab. Here, you should specify the name of your language. This also is where you can open previously saved files. Files saved by autosave or with the manual save button are stored in the app's user data directory. To store your language files elsewhere, you can use the export button, and to load files from elsewhere on your computer, you can use the import button. Below, there are several other methods for importing and exporting your lexicon data, including HTML export and CSV import. And the final tab is the changelog. Every time you open the app, it will check for an update. If there is an update, it will automatically install it the next time you quit the app. New features will be documented here in the changelog. At the top of this tab, there are also some links to ways you can support the development of this app. If you get a lot of value out of using Lexicanter, please consider financially supporting via Patreon as a patron or as a one-time donator on Ko-fi. It means the world. You can also join Saturn's Sojourn, a Discord community with channels and forums for technical support, linguistics discussion, and other Saturnine projects. This is also where you can join the beta testing group if you are interested. Thank you for using Lexicanter. We hope to see you in the Sojourn.